Is Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna, a key member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us on Sunday Morning Futures. Look, this is the first case. Hunter Biden has other cases that are still pending, plus the potential allegations that came over the Oversight Committee. What's your reaction to him pleading guilty?
Look, this is something we've known all along, and the prosecutors have really shown the American people that this is not partisan. He was indeed guilty. He was breaking the law. But I want to remind people that just because he's pleading guilty doesn't mean that our job stops. Ultimately, this whole thing is that Hunter Biden was really the keystone in regards to the influence peddling that was really benefiting the now sitting president, Joe Biden. And so I do believe that our actual delegation and our committee need to actually put forward legislation to stop influencing peddling at this magnitude. I mean, it was egregious what has happened. And honestly, I mean, so much media went to defend Hunter Biden. He was guilty all along.
Yeah, and he's lucky on those tax charges that the statute of limitations ran out. Otherwise, those federal prosecutors should have been prosecuting him for that as well. This story will continue on. It'll be interesting to see if the president actually pardons him. But I want to shift gears on us here a little bit, and I want to talk about something that's going to affect all of us. And that is the idea that if people that are here illegally in the United States, not United States citizens, the concern is about election integrity. Should you or should you not be a United States citizen to vote in a federal election? And 198 Democrats previously said no. How in the world can they possibly justify that?
You know, that's a question that we all ask. You know, if you're defending someone illegally voting in our elections, you're ultimately undermining the very sacred integrity of this institution. And so I think what you'll find is that Republicans and some moderate Democrats have been very supportive of the SAVE Act. But I think what you find when we attach it to the CR, I think that you'll find that Democrats are going to be voting against that. I've actually been hearing about that from a lot of my colleagues, to include those across the aisle. And I think it really brings up the bigger question here is that Democrats want to say that our elections are safe and secure, yet they're actively fighting against us being able to hold people accountable. And so I think everyone needs to kind of ask that question. But more importantly, there's other countries like China, like Russia, like Iran, that don't want there to be safe and secure elections in this country. So the best thing that we can all do, especially from a bipartisan perspective, is hammer this home and send it over to the Senate to see if they'll pass it.
Look, personally, I believe everybody should vote same day, same time, same information, in person with a voter ID. Now, that is not
Agreed.
The way it is set up right now. Early voting happens, and if Republicans don't engage in the process in getting their ballots in and getting them in early, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage. So you got to play by the rules that are there. But this idea that you would allow somebody who's not a United States citizen to be able to vote, I can't imagine that the United States Senate is going to look everybody in the eye and say, we're willing to shut down the government because we want to make sure that people that are here illegally have a chance to vote. That it's just crazy.
Well, we'll see what happens. You know, Mike Johnson is going to be in those negotiating rooms, so we'll see what he does. But what I can tell you is, you know, remember, we just had that massive Social Security breach where everyone's Social Security numbers were leaked. And so I think that this actually comes at the perfect timing, because we do want to ensure that people are requiring proof of citizenship and that they're not actually using people's Social Security numbers to be able to vote. And so I can tell you that we're going to be championing it. I know my constituents want me to vote for it. I will be voting for it. But I hope that my colleagues do the right thing, because frankly, people are just tired of the nonsense in Washington.
Is there any other thing that Congress can do short of passing this act? Now, one could argue that it's actually illegal now to do this, but what else can they do other than push this? And Congress is coming back into session, I believe, this week. It's going to be up to Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats to take this bill up and get it passed. But Speaker Johnson has his hands full. But I think the moral imperative is it could not be higher.
You know, I think that Speaker Johnson needs to understand that he's going to be basically our top negotiator on this, and that he needs to be willing to play hardball. And if they are in any way, shape, or form trying to pass a CR without this being attached and trying to gut it, and that he needs to be willing to make that tough decision and say, fine, if you guys don't want to ensure that our elections are safe and secure, you're not getting what you want. And I think he needs to put his foot down. And unfortunately, I know that that might make him uncomfortable, but we have a nation to save, and this is the right thing to do. We have people coming into this country unvetted, unchecked, that have nefarious objectives here. And so it's time to play ball.
I want to ask you real quickly a question about the debate. Tuesday night means everything. You've seen Kamala Harris. She has flipped and flopped and changed positions on key issues. She's now running ads saying she's in favor of the border wall, which is, I mean, it's just laughable on its face. What do you think is going to happen Tuesday night? What does President Trump need to do? What does Kamala Harris need to do?
I think President Trump needs to stay focused on his policy and what he's done for this country, and it's a win-win all the way around. I think right now Kamala Harris, a lot of Democrats were pushing her. They frankly didn't even get a chance to really vote her as the nominee, right? We saw what happened with the kind of switcheroo with Joe Biden. But ultimately, as long as he stays focused on policies, which he will, I know the people doing the debate prep with him, I think he's going to shine like the star that he is. You know, Kamala Harris keeps trying to run away from the border issue, and so she'll try to pivot on other issues like abortion. I think he stays focused on inflation, immigration, border security. He's going to win all the way through, to include this November.
Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna, thank you so much for joining us.